presented by Horns and Hooves Entertainment. You're watching Buffalo After Dark.
Hey everybody, welcome to Buffalo After Dark. It is, of course, March 30th, and hey, we're only 16 episodes away from hitting number 100 on here. So for right now, it's just me and Bob. How's it going this week?
I'm doing okay. I am kind of stressed, to be honest with you, personally, with my life, because I had a little issue, a dispute with Chase Bank, and I put myself out of that situation, and I switched banks over the week, and I've just started to settle in. So I should have everything done by the next 2 weeks. So hopefully I'm on a probation so that way I don't do anything, stupid or anything like that. I guess you know how it works.
Oh yeah. I mean, and hey, identity theft sucks, but I mean, I dealt with that with a bank before, and I mean, got it fixed. It's just one of those. It's just pain in the ass to deal with it, but it is what it is. At least you got your stuff taken care of, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, for certain. I mean, I've had it since like Monday afternoon. I had to leave 3 hours ahead of time for work because I work from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had 3 hours to spare. So I'm like, okay, let me go take care of this. And my boss was like, yeah, go do what you need to do. And he was generous, and him and I are really good friends. So it's like, it didn't matter to me as long as I did what I had to do and get the job done. So I did. And it took me almost 4 hours just to get everything done within that span.
Yeah, well, and at least you got it taken care of, and that's what you got to do. And same case when it happened to me before. I left during my work day, and then took like the 2 hours I needed to, and then got everything situated. So yeah, all is good. At least it's all taken care of. But we'll get right into it. If you guys want to jump on, 929-205-6099 gets you on the air with us. We'll be here for the next hour, and we'll go ahead and we'll start off with the hockey world today. And one of the big things that came out, and we were talking about this right before we went live, was the speculation that Matthew Dumba from the Minnesota Wild could possibly end up as a Buffalo Sabre.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I actually found that like around I want to say 20 minutes to 2 o'clock around that time in the afternoon. And apparently an Instagram page called the Mug NHL, which do really, really well on covering hockey. But anyway, I found the rumor from there, and it says straight up that Sabres beat writer John Vogel for The Athletic lists defenseman Matthew Dumba from the Minnesota Wild. And ironically, I'm wearing a Minnesota Wild jersey for the show.
Yes.
Is a possible option for the Sabres next season, and sees him as the best fit with defenseman Owen Power.
That actually would be a pretty interesting pairing, to say the least. And there's a couple ways that this could go. I mean, Minnesota right now, they're in that win now mentality, and they have some cap issues that they need to deal with. So it's not completely far-fetched that this could potentially happen in the next year or so.
No, because the thing is the Wild are on like a limited time frame because they got to win the cup now. Because if they don't win now, they're going to have to potentially blow up the team because of buying out Zach Parise and Ryder Sooners' contract last summer. Because both of them are now off the team. But the thing is, if you look on capfriendly.com, if you look on the buyout window for the Minnesota Wild, they have to still pay the remainder of those two contracts combined, and they need to make up the money for it. So I think they have to do it until like 2024 or 5, somewhere around there. But I think it has to do something to do with like the 13-year lease or something like that, or they'd be penalized if they retired earlier, some ridiculous thing like that. I don't know, but the Minnesota Wild and cap-wise are in a lot of trouble. And for them to win the cup is now. They have no choice.
Yeah, 100% for certain. And, I mean, with Matt Dumba possibly being here, I mean, the Sabres would be getting a very established player, and it would actually bolster the defense quite a bit, especially with Owen Power. I mean, you're getting two good players that can come in.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, as much as I would love Matthew Dumba, I would not trade any of those 3 first-round picks to Minnesota. Because what if, even if they go through all that cap struggle, what if they end up still being decently good? I mean, they still got Kirill Kaprizov. They still have Cam Talbot. They just got Marc-Andre Fleury. And on top of all that, they still have some extra guys they got to pay, like Joel Eriksson-Ek and all these other guys. So the Minnesota Wild are in a very interesting position when it comes to their cap. But on the other end of the spectrum, if they trade Dumba tomorrow or in the summer, whenever it is, then I think it's in their best interest to do so, but it has to really depend on the price.
Yeah. And looking at capfriendly.com, it actually one of the things I'm going to bring up on the screen here, and and you guys can take a look at this at home also, is that the cap numbers are very telling in terms of what's currently open. And it's very interesting to see this. So right now, I mean, you look at Montreal with having like the $9.48 million in cap space. Vegas has like only 760,000. But then if you take a look at how bad Tampa is right now.
Well, Tampa won 2 Stanley Cups, so I don't think they give a shit.
Yeah, seriously. And then, I mean, you go through the list, and I mean, virtually, I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling on some of them. I mean, yeah, St. Louis, they only have 88,000, but of course they won a cup recently. But you look at how much Minnesota has, and right here, I mean, they have like 9.5 million, but look at the insane amount that Buffalo has right now.
That's a lot of money.
$90 million?
Dude, they could go out and buy like 5 all-star players with that money. They could buy at least 2 all-star defensemen and 3 all-star forwards with that money.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely unheard of. And you look at all the cap numbers on here, I mean, Buffalo's got more cap space than any other team right now.
Yeah, look at and while we're on the capfriendly.com, click on the Minnesota Wild for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, click on Minnesota because I want to show you something. So if you go all the way down to the bottom, look where it says projected long-term injury reserve money. And then on top of all that, the cap is. So if you go down to the bottom, I think there's a thing in there on base salary for Suter and Parise, because I think they got to pay that off. There it is.
Mhm.
So they got to pay off Suter and Parise. See how it says right there? They got to pay $2 million for Parise this year, $6 million next year, $7 million the following year in 2023 and in 2024. And then how long does that contract last? See, this is what I was talking about. Because if Minnesota, because of that, those 2 contracts alone, they're going to have a big problem going forward if they don't win the cup now. Because they're going to already have to deal with Kaprizov's contract, which is huge. They might have to trade Matthew Dumba just to make up cap space to begin with. And on top of that, they're in a cup contention right now as we speak, and they only have to. And on top of that, look at that. They got to still pay $2 million for the remainder of this deal for Victor Rask, who on last week's show I mentioned was his rights were traded to the Seattle Kraken, and by some fucking coincidence, he actually scored a goal with the Seattle Kraken with their win over the LA Kings the other night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course 2022, 2023. I mean, you go from paying like roughly like you have like 4.7 million between Suter and Parise, and then of course you got 2 million on Victor Rask, but then it jumps up to like 12.7 million for literally 2022, 23, and then you're going up to 14.7 million for 2023 to 24 and 2024 to 2025 before you have any cap relief.
Like, this is what I was talking about, because the Minnesota Wild, like I said, they're going to be in a lot of cap trouble long term with those 2 guys alone, because it's the thing about that contract though, is like, if you look back on that date, it was July 4th of 2012. This was the 2012 salary cap. So this was before they had a limit of how many years you could sign a player. So with that contract, it affects them to this point until they both retire. But because they both got bought out, they still got penalized regardless.
Yeah, very true. And they're locked up with over $7 million in goaltender money too. If you look at Cam Talbot and Fleury.
Yep, and they traded Kepel Kakinen last week to the Sharks, so that doesn't really help.
Right, exactly.
They went all in for Fleury.
Yes, and apparently Mr. Dahlin is here.
What? Andy's here?
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, it's Andy. What's up?
Not much.
How you feeling?
All right.
Well, that's the start. But yeah, we're just talking about the rumor that it's only our first topic for the night anyway, is there's a rumor going around that the Sabres might trade for Matthew Dumba in the offseason because Minnesota is going to be in cap trouble for the next year and a half, 2 years.
Yes, and I've heard some rumblings of that, and also that Sabres are looking for a defensive partner on the right side for Mr. Owen Power when he comes in.
Yep, and that guy is apparently Matthew Dumba.
Fine by me. I like his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's what we.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
and we got a little bit of real-time score updates here in the NHL. So right now, with 11:53 left in the second, Winnipeg and Dallas are tied at 1.
Woo!
What?
Since again.
What, they score again? Oh, I just missed it. I just got it. Ferguson's again. Nice job. Yeah, it's
And-
2-1 Buffalo. There
Sweet,
you go.
sweet.
Damn, dude.
And Detroit is somehow surviving against the Rangers because they're actually up 2-1 after that ass kicking they took against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah,
Who'd they lose to the first time? I know they got killed by the Penguins, 11-2. But who was it that the other time they lost to?
that
They
was
lost.
hilarious.
Who the hell did they lose to?
I don't remember how bad that one other loss was, but I'll tell you, man, to lose to Pittsburgh 11-2, I mean, some days it's just not their day.
I guarantee you right now, Steve Eisman's gonna blow up. I guarantee Steve Eisman's gonna blow up that team after the season. Guarantee you.
Oh, he's got it. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Blazill's finally fired.
Jeff Blashill deserves to get fired in every sense. I think the Red Wings should bring in a real coach. That's what I think.
Mhm. Absolutely.
He's been there for way too long.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Mhm.
Yep. And then, of course, besides that, I mean, of course, we got a few other games up on tap tonight. So, of course, LA Kings and Edmonton will play, St. Louis and Vancouver, San Jose Sharks in Arizona, and Vegas will play Seattle tonight, actually. And that'll be a TNT game at 10 p.m. Eastern.
That ought to be fun.
That I want to turn in and watch.
Yeah, that would be definitely exciting to watch for sure. So as far as other news goes, the NHL and the NHLPA have finally come to their senses because Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley has said that the NHL and the NHLPA are in the process of creating a database for a no trade list to be centrally filed to avoid another Evgeny Dadonov deal like they had with the Ottawa Senators not too long ago. If you remember from last week, we talked about this, about how the NHL was saying that Evgeny Dadonov had a no trade clause, but he put Anaheim on that list, and then they said, fuck it, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I guess my first question is, what took them so long to finally put this together?
Probably lawsuits and stuff like that with lawyers. I mean, that's probably my guess to why it took so long. I mean, it only makes sense as to why would that be the case, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
How do you not know what teams are on his no trade list?
Because I assume when the what's his face? I assume when the Senators had him, they never asked him for a no trade clause when they traded him to Vegas, and then he just assumed, okay, I'm not gonna do that. And then the Vegas Golden Knights fucked up on it, and they didn't even know he had one. So they're just like, okay, every player should now at this point be required, if you have a no trade clause, to put down teams you don't want to go to, and don't go through that fiasco all over again. As I honestly have never seen anything like this. The last time I saw anything like this was when the NBA about 10 years ago, Tom might remember this, is and granted, I don't know shit about basketball, but I remember people talking about it, is the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade that was supposed to happen. And the NBA vetoed the trade because they felt the Lakers were going to break the parity in the NBA. And sure enough, they vetoed the trade and they sent them to the Clippers.
Yeah. So I remember this deal a little bit. And what had happened is, of course, that trade was vetoed. What had happened is that they thought it would have made the Hornets too good, is really what their argument was.
I think you meant the Lakers because Chris Paul was on the Hornets at that time.
Right. Very true. But, and this is actually coming out from Silver Screen and Roll, which is an LA fan community. But basically what happened is they said one of the landmark moments of the NBA will forever be the vetoed trade that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers. It was a deal that would have paired two of the greatest players, not just of their era, but in league history, which would have been Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant. And we all know how good Kobe was over his career. And basically what happened is that the belief was that it was a fair deal that was agreed upon. The front office is in place. But then it was shut down by the league, and there was it was David Stern who actually ended up killing the deal. So basically that whole thing, I mean, David Stern made a lot of questionable decisions during his time in the NBA anyways. But in reality, he basically said it was not an attractive enough package for Chris Paul's caliber. And I mean, looking at the whole deal, the actual offer that was eventually accepted was that there was an offer that had more prospects and picks, but that basically saw Chris Paul go to the Clippers instead of the Lakers, and the Clippers finally ended up becoming a pretty good team after that time. So
Yeah, but the funny thing about that story is I remember the Lakers when Kobe was alive. I remember the Lakers were almost on the verge of their downward spiral,
mhm.
and they wanted to please Kobe, of course, because Kobe would never leave the team to begin with at that time.
Hey, Bobby,
What?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just saw some breaking news that Tampa Bay Bucks coach Bruce Arians is reportedly stepping away from the sideline in favor of the front office.
Whoa.
Whoa. Wait,
What?
can you say that again? What the fuck just happened?
Jesus Christ, Bobby. I said the Bucks coach Bruce Arians is stepping away as a coach in favor of the front office. Defensive coordinator Todd Bowles will be his replacement. There you have it.
Whoa. Shit.
Holy crap. And actually,
Shit.
this is out on multiple sources now that you're just bringing that up. So
geez.
this is out on LA Times, and it's also out on profootballtalk.com. But yeah, they have announced Bruce Arians has stepped down as the coach. Todd Bowles will be the successor. Basically, they're saying that Bruce Arians, who coached the Buccaneers to a Super Bowl victory less than 14 months ago, is stepping aside to take a front office role effective immediately. Tampa Bay will install Arians' preferred successor, defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, as the new head coach. Previously, Todd Bowles coached the Jets to a 24-40 record in 2015 to 2018, his only full-time head coaching job. Bowles, who is black, would become the sixth minority head coach in the league, joining Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniel, and Lovie Smith. And Arians said his new job will be a senior consultant for football, and his gig will start with the 2022 draft prep.
Okay. So, in other words, Bruce Arians, because his ego was being bruised by the front office, he throws a bitch fit and just says, "Here, Todd, take over the team."
Yeah. And they said that the move is a surprise, but it's not a shock. And they basically said that Bruce Arians started thinking about stepping aside at the NFL scouting combine a month ago.
Okay, this is
He's
very
been thinking
interesting.
about that. And he said that, quote, succession has always been huge for me. With the organization in probably the best shape it's been in its history with Tom Brady coming back, I'd rather see Todd in a position to be successful and not have to take some crappy job. I'm probably retiring next year anyway in February, so I control the narrative right now. I don't control it next February because if Brady gets hurt, we go 10-7, and it's an open interview for the job. I got 31 coaches and their families that depend on me. My wife is big on not letting all those families down.
Okay, so I have a pretty strong opinion about this. Now that we're talking about the breaking news, thank you, Andy, for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So to kind of draw this all in and to kind of just take it all in, it just sounds like to me there's a very big dysfunctional shit show behind the scenes with the Buccaneers. I mean, Bruce Arians is a great coach, no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But I firmly think that he believes that this is going to be Tom Brady's last year, and he doesn't want to be the coach to have the narrative of, oh, I was the one that coached Tom Brady in his potentially his last year in the NFL. Because Brady retired a month ago, technically, then came back, and now Arians is stepping down, and then having Tom Bowles, who having to be in the Jet country, he's done absolutely nothing with the Jets. He's a horrible head coach. He's better as a defensive coordinator, and now all of a sudden it's going completely in reverse. So it's almost as if the Bucs are in limbo right now. Even if you have Tom Brady, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bruce Arians basically controlling everything at this point.
Jesus Christ. What do you think? What do you think of all the whole thing with Bruce Arians? Because I know you're the one that just brought the story, so we might as well ask you what your opinion is.
Man, it's just another coaching change is all I see it. He's up there in age, you know. Some guys just don't want to, can't handle the sideline shit anymore and want to just get it from a new view and be a GM in the office or something of that sort. So, Arians has nothing to prove anymore. He's got a Super Bowl. He's good to go.
Right.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a horrible look for the Bucks. I mean, I know Todd Bowles is getting Brady, but I feel like it's going to drastically change because the other thing too we have to mention is Gronk is contemplating of either retiring or coming back.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I mean,
Like, Jesus Christ, man.
next chapter.
Yeah, where the fuck's Adam?
he said in our we have a group chat for you guys who don't know, and he said, forgot, sorry, when did you guys start? And he's like,
Christ,
I will in a bit.
Okay, it's halfway over, man.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
I was gonna say, Adam, how much weed did you smoke today? Because apparently I know you got off of work early and I know you were toking up early, so
Yeah, for certain. But like I don't know how I will feel about the Bucks going forward. I'm not sure. I don't know if they'll be what they were when they had Bruce Arians as the coach. I'm not really sure if they'll be in that level of competitiveness. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't know. I'm not really sure or keen on the Bucks right now.
yeah. So actually, Arian said a few more things about this. So he said, quote, in a way, Brady coming out of retirement encouraged him to move on. In a 25-minute conversation, Arians explained the reason for this decision, dated all the way back to February 2021. And Arians said, quote, it hit me after the Super Bowl. I thought really hard about going out on top. Then it was like, nah, let's go for two. The 2021 season was a grind with all the injuries, but still winning and getting to where we got. Immediately after 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, I thought, if I quit, my coaches get fired. I couldn't do it then. So then he also went to say, quote, Tom was kind of the key. When Tom decided to come back and all these guys back now, it was the perfect timing for me to just go into the front office and still have the relationships that I love. And apparently, Arians has wanted Bowles, who basically put together the 2020 defense that kept Kansas City to 0 touchdowns in the 31-9 win, to succeed him whenever he stepped down. So basically, Arians was already planning his successor all the way back to that Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's in that way, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm not crazy about Todd Bowles, though. But then at the same time, the New York Jets gave him absolute crap to work with.
Well, are you surprised? I mean, it was the goddamn Jets.
Well, yeah, Woody Johnson doesn't surprise me with anything over there.
Woody Johnson is just another bumfuck of an owner. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
I can tell you from being in Long Island, in a big area full of Jets fans, I can tell you the amount of people absolutely hated Todd Bowles down here. I can tell you that right now. A lot of Jets fans did not like Todd Bowles at all. They thought that he was too conservative. And they thought that he was a great defensive coach, but he couldn't run a scheme on offense, even if they had, Sam Darnold in his rookie year, because that was the year that Todd Bowles was fired, was when he had Sam Darnold in his rookie year, not knowing if he was going to be the guy in quotation at the time.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Like this whole thing is just a fucking shit show. I just the thing that what really shrugged me is how he just comes out of nowhere and says, I'm gonna retire. I mean, it's just like, well, isn't the whole purpose of Brady to come back is for you to be with him to win another Super Bowl?
Right. I mean,
Like, I don't know.
Wouldn't you think that he'd want to go for number 2?
I would think so, but at the same time, when you think about it, it just doesn't make much sense. It's like Brady comes back and then Arians retires. It's like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. I mean, I would think that Brady comes back, Arians would want to stay in the job.
Yeah, and then of course it comes out and says, "Oh, he had a disgruntlement with the front office." It's like, well, it's a business, and I understand that there were certain decisions you have to make, but at the same time, like some of the stuff that Bruce Arians has done throughout his career, I mean, he's done some great things, but it's just like it doesn't make sense whatsoever right now, especially with Brady coming back pretty soon. I mean, don't you want to win another Super Bowl?
Right. I don't know. I don't get the whole reason for that move, but same time, we'll see what Todd Bowles can actually do now that he's got a legit team around him.
We'll find out. Let's see who's the fraud and who's the real deal.
Yeah, 100% true. And
It's gonna be
actually,
like,
we got some additional breaking news that came out. So the NFL has announced a new rule that requires all 32 teams to hire an offensive coach who is either a woman or a member of an ethnic or racial minority for the 2022 season.
yeah, I saw that. I'm just like, well, that's just a waste of money.
So, yeah, just a little details on that. So, Pittsburgh Steelers owner Art Rooney II, who's a chairman of the NFL Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, said on Monday that the rule is designed to increase opportunities for women and people of color to get hired on the top positions, because offensive coordinator jobs have been, quote, stepping stones to top positions in the league, including head coach. Rooney said, quote, "We clearly do not have as many minorities in the offensive coordinator job." So basically what they want to do is bring more talented minority coaches to the offensive side of the ball, both within the league and hopefully attract other talented individuals from the college ranks. And for the very first time, this will include women in that rule. So now what happens is that since '03, all teams have been required to interview at least 2 minority candidates when hiring for permanent positions through the Rooney Rule. Now that's been expanded to include women on all levels. So basically what happened is they said, because women are in the early stages of entering the coaching ranks, it may be a little ways away, but they are going to have the opportunity now. So we've seen some women referees the last few years, or women like officials. I mean, hey, they'll give them an opportunity, and there are some good people that should be in higher paying and higher positions in the league.
I mean, I agree with the whole thing about, being hired for the job, but I just don't agree with the point of, okay, you must hire someone. I'm like, I feel like the rule itself is just straight up racist. I don't know why. It just feels that way. It's basically saying you must force yourself into this shit. You know what I mean? Like, what if you have enough coaches and you don't have enough spaces? What are you going to do? Have them do just like what exactly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it also, the memo that was sent out to all teams, it also acknowledged concerns expressed by former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores, who announced that he was suing the league over racial discrimination on February 1st, after being fired despite an 8-1 finish to the season. And that lawsuit is still pending. So that's still an ongoing issue. And although Flores is going to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers this coming season, I mean, I still think that the Miami ownership was totally screwed up in that decision. I mean, and Flores should have stayed on as head coach, I think. I mean, he was actually getting winning seasons out of them, and he actually was doing a good job down there. But because he wouldn't bend over and take it up to what, it's basically one of those, well, hey, Miami fired him, and here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, like I said, I mean, I think it's great they're getting chances, but don't force it on other teams just because of someone else's own fuck up.
Yeah, aka Stephen Ross.
Stephen Ross, even Brian Flores, because he threw a bitch fit. If you remember in January, he threw a bitch storm because he didn't get a head coach job with the Giants.
Yep.
So I would say it's basically all ego. I think it's for political motivation. That's what I think it is.
Right. And it really should be best candidate gets a job, regardless of. I mean, race and all that stuff shouldn't even be an issue these days. I mean, it really should just be best person gets a job, period.
Yeah, basically. Andy, what do you think?
On what?
On the whole about the NFL saying you have to hire a minority coach or offensive coordinator for a job these days. Everybody has to get one.
Yeah, or a woman.
Or
Yeah. It's just the NFL being the NFL. I mean, they just keep cramming that stuff down teams' throat. I mean, I wish, you as a team, you have the ability to go get who you want. I mean, it doesn't matter, man, woman, black, white, yellow. It doesn't matter. Just you want the best people for your team and your positions that you're trying to fulfill. But,
yeah.
you just got to cram that stuff down everybody's throat just to keep things, equal, which I'm not saying that it shouldn't be equal, but I mean, people are going to hire who they feel is going to be best for the job. It's not, I guess that's just how the NFL wants to operate.
It's the only way they could do it. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's what the NFL is. I feel like the league itself is just straight up racist, just for the fact that they're shoving it down other teams' throats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like enough is enough. Make your own decisions.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So, So what else do we have on the NHL? Because we were cut from there. So
Yeah, so we had another big story that came out over the last couple days, and Ottawa Senators owner Eugene Melnick has met his maker. He's no longer alive.
yeah, I heard that over the week. Because Eugene Melnick passed away at the age of 62 due to an unknown illness. And here's the thing that really surprises me: I didn't even know he was sick.
Mhm.
Is I made a really shitty comment on Monday, and I'm going to condone it right now. I should have said it a little bit differently, and I said it on Twitter before I said it on the chat, and that is as a Sabres fan, I'm sending out my prayers to the Melnick family, to him and his family, and I'm sending out my thoughts and prayers. And then afterwards, I said, what did I say in direct quote? I said something about fuck. What did I say on Monday? I said something pretty snarky. What did I say, Tom, on Monday?
I mean, I didn't even really take a look at the comment, honestly. So
Yeah, I mean, oh, here we go. And I said, rest in peace. No more cheapness from that bumfuck of an owner.
well, I mean, he was cheap. I will say that.
Yeah, but I felt like a lot of people ripped me apart afterwards. I know Andy had something to say about it because he was like, come on, show some respect. I'm like, I always show respect, but that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure he was a great human being outside of hockey, but as far as human business operations with the ownership and with just spending money, he just really treated the Ottawa Senators pretty poorly.
Yeah.
I mean, don't just go at it like that.
What with what? You got cut off a little bit.
I said separate the two. If you're gonna go at him like you did, then go at him like that, saying that he's a shitty owner. But I mean, keep it separate. I mean, don't put them all together.
Well, I mean,
he's a piece of shit owner. He's fucking dead. Fuck you, Ottawa.
I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth. I said he was a owner. I didn't say, haha, he's dead.
Well,
different
you know what I'm
concepts.
saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Because apparently I learned my lesson the last time, if you remember, which was in October when I said about Rick Jeanneret. That was a while back.
Oh, you still remember that. Good for you.
Of course I do. I have a memory of an elephant. So I think that I think it was pretty shitty at that time what I said, but what I was telling at that time was the truth. And the same applies here with Eugene Melnick. I mean, I'm sure he was a great person. He did a lot of work for the community in Ottawa, but the way he ran that organization, he almost burned it into the ground entirely, with then having to veto the new building they wanted to get in downtown Ottawa. And then this morning or this afternoon, Ellie Freeman came out and said that there was a possibility of them moving to Quebec City. And then the council said they're not going to move the Ottawa Senators because they like where they are and they want to keep the team there. And they're in progression to make moves towards building a brand new stadium in downtown Ottawa, which I think that's where they should be, in my opinion, because that's a good market.
Should have been there in the first place.
Yeah, that's what they should have done. And I agree with that 100%. But Eugene Melnick was too cheap to, put it out in the first place because of the fact that he said, I'm not going to put all my money down. I want people to pay extra taxpayer dollar for the stadium, just like any project in any city for that matter. And for Melnick to get the thing out of position, it almost made it seem like he was willing to move the team to begin with, even if he bought the team 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, in their current arena, the Canadian Tire Center is about the same age as the KeyBank Center. It opened around the same time.
But that's what I don't understand. It's not that old. Is it because Melnick at the time wanted more money?
Well, the Canadian Tire Center is out in the middle of nowhere. That's the problem they have. It's out in Canada, which is like almost an hour outside of downtown Ottawa.
Well, granted, I've never been to Ottawa, and I'd love to go to Ottawa for a Sens game, but to be so far out, and I've also heard navigation by car to a game, it was horrendous. So, And if you remember, don't forget, a lot of Sens fans, even before he passed away, he all said they wanted Melnick out. And the problem was he had no other throne to give it to. His daughters are in their teens, in their 20s, so they can't run the team. He's not married. And on top of all that, there's no throne, there's no monarchy to take over the Melnick name for that organization unless a corporate buyer or a company like the Toronto Maple Leafs, with Maple Leaf Sports and all that, bought the team and invested into it. That's what I think should happen. I know that happened to several teams. It happened with the Flyers. It happened with the Leafs. But on that aspect, to keep the Sens in Ottawa, they should buy the team. A Canadian program should buy the team and then get the money from there on out. That's what I think they should do. But it seems like to me they're committed to keeping the team in Ottawa.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things I could even show you on here is that just to kind of give you an idea of where everything is. I mean, here's downtown Ottawa. Here's where the arena is. I mean, it's a little ways out.
Damn, that's a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
where
have
do they,
basically like one major highway that gets there, and they have like one bus that'll go out there, and right around the arena, there's absolutely nothing.
yeah, what do you call it? How far is it from, if that's Ottawa, where the Bronson Center is, where would they put the stadium on the map?
I mean, if they were to do that, I mean, here, let me go ahead and clear. All right. So if they were looking at something right in this area, I mean, here's downtown Ottawa. From my understanding is that they were trying to get something right around in this area. So it'd be like around in here somewhere, which is really where it should have been in the first place.
I mean, I know Melnick was a passionate fan because of the fact that he owned the team.
Yeah.
And considering coming from Eugene Melnick, who I think at the time was the richest billionaire owner in the NHL, if not all of Canada, he was the richest man in Canada at that time. But for him to be that cheap, it really just boggles my mind that he was not willing to spend money on his players and then trading them away if they didn't agree to him or just throwing a fit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that was what I didn't agree with on the business side of things for Melnick. But on the other end of the spectrum, he did some good things for the city, you know, donating money and stuff like that. So that's the one thing that I think a lot of Ottawa Senators fans will ever be forever grateful for, was the fact that he saved the team from moving.
Right. And even to give you an idea, I mean, look at how close it is to Quebec. I mean, you basically just right on the other side of the river. I mean, here's Quebec, here's Ontario. And literally like all southern Quebec, I mean, you have the team that they're supporting right now. So, I mean, you have like the two provinces right next to each other and everything. So it's just kind of what they've got going on there.
Yeah. What do you think, Andy, about the whole thing?
I really don't have anything to really say on the matter, to be honest with you.
I did not hear a word he just said. He just mumbled his way out.
I said I don't have anything to say on the matter, really.
About that whole situation with Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sort itself out.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I assure you the Sens will, or the NHL will find a way to keep them in Ottawa, at least at that standpoint. Because at this point, I don't know if they even deserve to be where they are. I mean, as much as it would suck, I feel like that they're not making enough money and investments from the team just for that perspective. I just don't know if they can get it to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it comes to an owner. I mean, who's the next man up, to be honest with you.
We'll have to see because, you know, honestly, anything goes at this point with the Ottawa Senators because everything for their future is up in the air now. It's kind of like what happened with the Buffalo Bills. If you remember, right after Ruff Wilson died, everyone thought they were going to move and be sold to John Bon Jovi and move them to Toronto. The same could happen here with the Sens. It depends who buys the team.
Yeah, I mean, very possible. And one of the things I would even mention is, you know, depending on who would get the Senators, I mean, kind of take a look at everything. Here's Ottawa. You have the Montreal Canadiens right here. Quebec City, the Nordiques. Don't be surprised if that comes up again.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, Ellie Freeman said that the city council is going to work on a deal with the ownership, out, you know, post Melnick, of course, and just straight up say, fuck it, we're going to try and build a new stadium for them. But that's what I don't understand. Why did they wait till after he died to get that new stadium going?
It's a good question.
That's what I don't understand. But the bottom line is, I just feel like something is very sour about what's going to happen with the Ottawa Senators. I really don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see down the bottom line. We'll find out what happens to them down the road, because who the hell knows who buys the Ottawa Senators? But I definitely almost certain they will be sold, and they're most likely going to stay in Ottawa. I would have to imagine.
Right. And I would almost throw this out there. Best case, Ottawa. Worst case, Quebec City. Quebec City's got a market ready and waiting, and they want a hockey team. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens.
I wouldn't either, but I think they should just keep the Senators' name and call them the Quebec City Senators or the Quebec Senators. What do you think?
Nah, they'll go back to the Nordiques name. There's no way they keep the Senators name.
I don't know. I just feel though they're gonna keep the team in Ottawa. I don't know why. That's just how I strongly feel about it. But who knows? But so speaking of new stadiums, let's talk about the big one that happened over the week. The Buffalo Bills.
Oh yeah. So
Let-
lots of interesting stuff that's been coming out, and actually there was also some stuff that came out about some possible designs and what they were looking to model the stadium after as well. But big thing is, deal is pretty much in place. The couple of big things that are going to come out of it. So Erie County is no longer going to own a stadium once the current Highmark Stadium shuts down. It's actually going to be owned by New York State. So that's one big change. Second thing that's going to happen, so it will be in Orchard Park. It's going to go across the street from the current stadium. Right now, they're looking at around 60 to 62,000 seats, and having about 80% of the seats covered by a roof. It's going to be natural grass instead of turf. So that's one change that we haven't seen since the current stadium opened all the way back in the 70s. And then another thing that also came out, and this was actually part of the development. So it's going to be about 800 plus million in public money that's going to be used in a public-private partnership. So the state's going to kick in about 600 million. And then from there, Erie County is going to kick in about 250 million. The NFL is going to kick in 200 million on the side of the Pegulas. So of course, all 32 teams unanimously approved it. The Pegulas will kick in the remainder of the money. So it's going to be about $1.4 billion in total development. Another thing that came out, about 10,000 jobs as part of the stadium construction, and it's going to be about a 3-year construction period. And this came out also, the Seneca Nation casino payment got diverted to the stadium.
Oh, well, there you have it. That's a big development there.
Yeah, it was basically the Seneca Nation, of course, runs a casino, runs multiple casinos here in the Western New York area. And what happened is that the money that they owed, which was over 516 something million in payments, the state decided to use over 400 million of the casino revenue towards the stadium. But then Governor Hochul froze the bank accounts of the Seneca Nation for at least 3 days. They have no reason why. And now that's being investigated. So in terms of how the money thing was done, is it unethical? Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, if the other governor, the former Governor Cuomo was in place, who knows if we would have even been talking about the stadium deal right now, because he was in a lot of ways dead set against it after being okay with the 2 New York City stadiums getting money, which was Yankee Stadium, which actually that was, as far as I know, that was all privately funded. But then Citi Field actually got a lot of state money for it.
And the Islanders. Don't forget the Islanders.
Yep. And they got a lot of funding also. So New York State, good old corrupt government at its finest.
Yep. And on top of all that, it's also expected to have a large foot printing than the current stadium, which the new stadium is projected to be 1.5 million square feet, as to compared to Highmark is only compared to 900,000 square feet.
Yeah, so the new stadium will definitely be bigger, but it's just going to have less seating space.
Yeah, and they also apparently the 62,000 seat thing was very interesting because they said they were looking to make the seats bigger. So that way people, instead of like being squished in, like with the benches and all that, and Highmark being, if you ever go to a Bills game, you're like squished in almost.
Oh yeah.
So with the new one that's coming out in 3 or 4 years, that one is going to be more widespread. It's kind of like with me right now. I've been to UBS Arena twice already, and the seating and just the atmosphere alone is much wider than the Nassau Coliseum. than it was for the last 50 years. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. But here's the thing. The stadium itself really has to gel, and they really have to make this a state-of-the-art arena. They really do. And considering the fact that it's not going to be a dome is a big factor for a lot of people. And I've met people who are not even Bills fans who said that it's a stupid idea to not have a dome with it inside the area. It's like, why? That plays perfectly well to the Bills' advantage. Imagine playing in the middle of the cold weather in January for playoff football. Teams wouldn't want to go there to begin with.
Right. But perfect example. Look what happened when we played the Patriots when we had the 60-mile-an-hour winds, and basically we all remember what happened in that game.
But yeah, in comparison, it's like, who cares? You know, they lost that game, but who cares about that? Because a month later, they beat the Pats again in the playoffs.
Right, exactly. And actually, for everyone to see, this is actually one of the tweets that came out from at the Bills guys. But apparently, the architectural firm is going to be called Populous. That's going to design a stadium. It's called Populous. They've done a lot of arenas and stadiums all throughout the world. But apparently, they're going to use Tottenham Stadium in England as a model of doing something unique. So I actually have a picture of it on here, and this shows how a lot of the seats are going to be covered by a roof. And they're going to actually go with natural grass versus the turf that you see in the picture here. But that's actually one of the renderings one of the pictures that came out. Then this is kind of what it looks like on the front, where you can see some of the stuff. And that's actually in the city neighborhood there.
Yeah.
And then
And
it shows it at night with fireworks.
Yeah. And you said this was Populous, the company that made that?
No, so Populous is the company that's going to design the Bills Stadium, but they're going to apparently model it after Tottenham Stadium in England.
Yeah. Another stadium they did really well on was there's another stadium, if you want to put it up on screen. It's called Aviva Stadium, Aviva Stadium. It's in Dublin, Ireland. And this design of the stadium is gorgeous. It looks very much like SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, and actually, we'll bring it up on here also. Which I will say, SoFi, actually, I would love to visit that at some point.
Yeah, some assholes really thought that the new Bills Stadium was going to be like SoFi Stadium. Like, yeah, like, look at that. I mean, I know it's a soccer stadium or like a rugby stadium, but it's like the texture of it is so unique. Like, just from looking at it, that looks like a good set for a football game for that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I said, this is in Dublin, Ireland. So they do a lot of rugby. They do a lot of soccer there. They do a lot of concerts. So, yeah, so it's just crazy how they're actually hiring a European company to build the stadium, or at least make a project design of the stadium. So it might look better than SoFi Stadium for all we know. I mean, SoFi Stadium is gorgeous, but it's like, you know, when you're building an outdoor stadium and you're trying to make it like Tottenham or anything like that, you really have to make sure it's done right. That's the big factor, because the shielding, if you compare that to Quest Field where the Seahawks play, or whatever it's called, the Seahawks Stadium, it's kind of shaped like a funnel, like taco, basically, like a taco shell. Like the inner betweening of the inside is covered up for fans so they don't get downpoured on, and the middle is left wide open for like rain and snow and a come over and that stuff. If you, like, bring up the Seahawks Stadium for a minute if you can. Yeah,
so they actually just renamed it last season. It's now called Lumen Field. But here's one of the end zones where they have like the mini scoreboard, and then of course they have like the metal bleachers and everything. But this is what it looks like typically on a game day, where you have like the small section, as of course we saw, and then they have about 80% of the seats all covered. So especially on the sidelines. And then just taking a look at the back here, this is where you have, of course, the bleachers. You can see like part of the city. At night, this is how they can light it up. So that's pretty neat. That's during a Seahawks game.
Like, that's what I feel the new Bill Stadium is going to look like. I firmly believe, like, I'm not saying that it's going to look very similar to that, but I feel like just the way they're funneling, you know, designing like the roof and all that, because it's going to be an open air stadium. So it's like, you know, that stadium alone is like 20 years old. So they just got that recently, and they've already won a freaking Super Bowl of it. So I think with just that in general, I feel like it could do a lot of good. But the big downfall about the new stadium is that the Bills will not be able to host the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Populous, so they're actually based in Kansas City, Missouri, but they also have offices in New York City, London, Australia. They're also in Singapore, India, China, and the UAE. So they've done a ton of stuff there. Oh, there he is.
There you are. Finally.
Hey,
That's something-
I'm outside walking. I just walked my old lady home. Now I'm just randomly walking down the road.
That's fantastic.
I was gonna say, how high are you today after getting off of work early?
Well, I'll tell you how high I am. I fucking forgot that I was supposed to be doing this today.
Fucking A,
So,
man.
so I'm pretty fucking high. We'll put it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it the Northern Lights again, or?
No, it was in the couch.
Oh God,
Well, that's
you went with
something.
the really strong stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's what I do. Get all fucked up on weed.
No, most certainly. So yeah, we're just actually talking about the new Bill Stadium, and we're just talking about like the inner outs of the details of the whole field, about what it could look like.
Go ahead, sorry.
What the
I think
fuck?
he inhaled a little too much just now.
Fucking
Yeah,
nuts.
you know what? I'm almost home. I'm trying to get home to make this more sensible. But
Oh
Fucking
man.
A, man.
Yeah.
Oh my
But,
god. Nothing like coming in the last 5 minutes.
hey, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got really high and I forgot I had sex. And
Jesus Christ.
That's so
Valid excuse.
Yeah, but actually, it's not the first time we were talking about the company selected to design the stadium, Populous. It's actually not the first time they've done work here. They actually did the renovations at the current stadium back in 2014, so they have some experience working with the Bills already. But they also did the renovations at Arrowhead. They designed State Farm Stadium in Phoenix for the Arizona Cardinals. They did the Houston, Texas NRG Stadium. They designed Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Nissan Stadium in Nashville, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, FedEx Field for the Washington No Names. They also did Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Panthers, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville for the Jaguars, and they also designed Hard Rock Stadium for the Miami Dolphins.
Did they do the Jets for MetLife Stadium?
They did not.
Okay, well, MetLife Stadium is a decent, good-looking stadium, but I will say that for sure. But no, I'm excited that the Bills are getting a brand new stadium, and I'm glad that all the talk is over, so we can actually move on with our lives and comfort to know, hey, the stadium's being built.
Yeah, seriously, seriously, and actually, the MetLife was designed by 4 different companies, and none of them have done anything here in the Buffalo area, at least that I know of.
Well, it sounds like it. So, yeah, I'm excited overall for the new stadium. So I can't wait to see what it actually looks like just yet, because the picture that we've been seeing for the last couple of months, we don't even know if that's the actual design. It could very well change for all we know.
Right.
hey, hold on a second. I got to do something. There's a whole bunch of people up here. I'm gonna do this really loud. Just watch.
Oh God.
Can I get a oh yeah?
Oh yeah. God damn it.
What are you looking at? You ever heard anybody say oh yeah before?
You trying to pick a fight?
God.
I ain't here. I'm here to fuck your fight. I don't see your sister.
God. Oh God.
Whoa.
I send my condolences.
Ain't nobody gonna come across the street. If they do, I'll fucking kick them right in the forehead.
Kick him in the forehead. Why don't you just kick him in the shin?
They all look like they're like 5'2", 3, or something like that. So I could
Are you
easily lift my
picking
leg and kick them in the forehead.
You picking fights with kids?
No, there's little like midget, little tweaker guys.
Jesus Christmas.
Careful of the age, man. They could be shifty.
Hey, everybody,
Fucking-
Adam's a midget hater.
I ain't a midget hater. I just don't like tweakers. They're the scum of the earth.
Oh,
God.
are you
Tell us how you
fucking
really
home?
feel.
Let's go.
Tell us how you
What?
really feel.
What? They're fucking taxpayers, fucking eating fucks, and we have to pay for their fucking habits.
Hurry up and get home before you fucking end up in cuffs.
I'm almost there. Okay, I'm working on it.
I'm worried about your fucking stability here. Fucking going after midgets all high and shit.
Good
Actually,
God.
ever since I'd like hit that last hit, my legs feel numb. So
Oh, that's good.
Oh man.
At least
Well, at least
that's
you get in a fight, you don't feel anything.
oh fuck.
okay, carry on. I'm just wandering in the background.
Yeah, clearly.
Wow.
Girl.
Well, we'll put the over under on if Luffy makes it home in about 8 minutes when we wrap up. So.
Fuck's sake. I'm not far away. I'm like right down here. I'm almost there.
Well, for that fuck fest of a show, so Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Hey, at least I made a fucking appearance.
That
Fair
is
enough.
true. I will say that.
Yep, and we have an attack on midgets.
Hey, I got nothing against the midget community. I told you that.
Yeah,
They're
do that now.
the balls. Fucking hell.
As the camera freezes.
He looks terrified.
Oh my god, speed.
Unbelievable.
Oh man. But
Okay,
yeah.
I'm 1 sec.
Yeah. But
Okay, carry on.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
yeah. But I will say though, at least they got the deal done though. That's a big plus. So
Wait,
have a new
wait,
place.
wait.
yeah.
Look what I bought. Look what I bought. Hold on.
Mhm.
you found your house?
No, I bought this
Ooh,
Ooh, nice.
look at that.
Super Sports Track.
Look at that.
Yeah.
How gay are you?
Not too shabby.
And you know what? Go fuck yourself, Andy. How about that?
Subaru. God. I thought better of you.
Well, it's got all-wheel
I don't know,
drive.
I like it.
Goes
I like it,
around
okay?
on local car.
It's all-wheel drive, and it's good for fucking snowboarding and shit.
Oh, that's fantastic.
The black on black or what?
All black, bud. Black right out.
Nice.
Do 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 do
What year is it?
do 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 do.
Shut up,
What
Bobby.
year is it, Adam?
I have
I'm
an
just saying-
excuse. I'm severely stoned.
I'm just singing the song All Black. All
Oh.
Black everything. That's what the song's called.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, I needed to make sense for the song or for the car for that matter.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Tom, the Pagula has
Yeah.
made a statement a little while back about the Bills Stadium project, and they said, in quote, "We took another step today to solidify our collective goal of constructing a new stadium for the new Buffalo Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, and we are grateful for the time, efforts, and unwavering commitment made by Governor Kathy Hochul and her team throughout this process. While there are more hurdles to clear before getting to the finish line, we feel our public-private partnership between New York State, Erie County, led by County Executive Mark Polkaraz, and the National Football League will get us there."
Well, I mean, they're pretty much there, but here's the other part of the deal that also came out. So basically, the Bills can't relocate, period. If they were to attempt to in the first 15 years, not only do they owe all that money back, they're responsible for tearing down the stadium and paying all the costs for that. If they try to
They'll-
leave in the last 15 years, they'll owe back most of the money, but they're also still responsible for tearing down the new stadium. So either way, they're stuck here, which is
They got no worries. The world won't be a thing in 15 years.
Well, we'll see what happens. But as far as the Bills go, like, do you think 30 years is a fair enough time for a stadium, or do you feel like that's just too short?
No,
well, I mean, 30 years is a while. I mean, KeyBank Center opened in '96, And I mean, here we are in 2022. I mean, that building is going to be 30 years old in 4 years.
That's basically how old I am. That's a long time.
Huh.
So,
Oh my God. We have some breaking news. Because Bruce Arians retired, in quotation, Carolina Panthers head coach Matt Rule is now the longest tenured head coach in the NFC South.
oh my God.
Yeah, nobody cares. So you're a fucking bum of a coach.
Well, that explains it. But anyway, but do you think, Tom, with the stadium, do you think that's too short? I mean, I know 30 years is a long time in terms of length, but do you feel like the stadium should be like 40, 50 years in length in terms of longevity wise, or like tenure on the stadium? I mean, you're putting so much investment into a stadium.
I mean, 30, I think, is probably about the right amount, just because of the fact that, I mean, by that point, they'll recover what they spent. And then probably, I mean, you got to figure 10, 15 years in, they're going to probably make some minor changes to it and spend more. And then, I mean, they can always adjust the lease length, even as part of that. So, I mean, 30 is pretty comparable. I mean, the last deal they did was, I think, for 20. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean,
Either way you look at it, a 30-year deal on a stadium, like who the fuck knows whether in 10 years the Bills will still be a fucking Bills team. Like, no, like 30 years is more than enough.
I think that's fair. I mean, who the hell knows? But it's just exciting to even think about the idea now that they no longer have to worry about relocating or otherwise. I mean, it's nice to hear that. And thank God for John Bon Jovi for not buying the team, because he's a piece of shit. But I'm glad that he didn't get his grubby hands.
Don't you talk about that John Bon Jovi like that?
If he bought the team, Adam, he would have moved them to Toronto.
You're a real sack of shit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you told me that, but it is what it is.
Don't you speak his name in vain.
Bon Jovi sucks. Raise your hand.
It's his life.
Yeah.
Now or never.
Okay,
Yeah,
Tom,
it's our life. It's our life. It's now or never. We aren't going to live forever. I just want to live right now. It's my life.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's my life, and it's now or never.
Yeah, basically.
the funny thing is, they play that
Oh,
on
my
classic
fuck-
rock
That
now.
was my cameo. Don't fuck it up.
I think the couch already did that tonight, man.
Cush couch. Cush couch. Cush couch. Cush couch. Say that 50 times.
Yeah, basically.
It fucked me up.
Come on, but you score the fucking goal.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. No, here's one thing that is funny though. I just realized that Bobby, where your wedding reception is 38 miles from the hotel I'm staying at.
Well, there you go.
Although your wedding's only like 6 miles away, so that ain't bad. But I'm like, holy crap, you're on the other side of Long Island.
That ain't too shabby. But yeah. So, did you guys hear about the Detroit Lions?
But they're absolute ass.
They're
Yeah.
still irrelevant.
Yes, they are still relevant to the point that the NFL is shoving them down our throats this year by having them be the hosts of the show Hard Knocks on HBO Max this year.
God.
They should be the
man.
mascot poster child for that.
Yep, and the biggest kick in the nuts is they're gonna be hosting the draft in 2024.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
know.
Well, congratulations, Detroit. Congratulations, you
Yeah, feel like-
sacks of shit, relevant fucks.
Yeah, it'd be like the time when the Jets were on Hard Knocks and Rex Ryan was getting laughed at for telling his team to go have a snack.
Yeah, but that was also during the peak when he had that little foot fetish thing.
Oh yeah, and then he left Sanchez for the butt fumble.
Oh God, I don't know who's more of a foot fetish person, Rex Ryan or Dan Schneider. I have no idea.
So bad.
I'll never get the foot fetish thing because I just don't understand how someone can be like, God, look at those toes. I wonder if there's any toe jam in there. Can I lick it out and put it on my toes?
Oh God, that's fucking gross. That's gross.
Oh God.
That's gross. That's just cringe. Fuck.
I just don't get the foot fetish thing. Like I've had like a
Ugh.
foot job before. I don't know if everyone's ever had one, but it's kind of awkward and weird.
Thanks for sharing. I didn't need to hear that part.
I'll tell you the funniest part of the story. Now, I feel like everybody needs to hear this. Anybody that watches this show, yes, I got a foot job from a person one time that didn't have arms.
Well, if you don't have arms, then I think that makes perfect
So,
sense.
wait. And I said to her, I was like, so is this technically a hand job because you don't have arms?
You are one desperate fuck.
Hey, you know what? It's one cross off the bucket list.
Wow.
God.
That's on your list, you fucking
Oh.
weird fuck.
You're such a fucking
got
weirdo.
my
You know
list.
that?
Hey, well, technically, if you think about it, she uses her hands, her feet as hands. So, wouldn't it technically be a hand job?
Sure.
No,
Oh my lord.
no, it's not a hand job. A hand job is when you specifically use your wrists and your thumbs
But-
and your fingers.
What?
You don't use your feet to give someone a foot job. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
wait. Wait, hold, put the brakes on. So a hand job involves wrists and thumbs.
Well, I mean, your wrist and your thumb, that's a hand job.
Well, actually, I thought it was your fingers and your hand, not your thumb. But
What's the point? I'm trying to make an exclusion amount of points here. If it's called a foot job, you use your feet, period.
yeah, but what if she doesn't have arms?
That's a foot job.
No, but she doesn't have. She uses her feet as arms.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Was she a dwarf?
No, she just had a very horrific accident and lost 2 arms.
What the fuck? You meet the weirdest people. You know that?
I meet the most interesting people.
That's the point.
Interesting weird fuck.
Fucking A, man.
Hey, you know what? She was not, I don't know.
Got
What
me
can I
thinking
say?
about how Jerry Springer retired from daytime TV today. So,
Who?
Jerry Springer.
No
Hey,
fucking
he
way.
finally retired at the age of 78.
Jerry.
I thought he died like 10 years ago.
No,
What?
no, Jerry Springer reigned for 27 years.
You're thinking of
before he
Alex
had Judge
Shubnik.
Jerry for 3.5.
You're thinking of Alex Shebnick. That's who you're thinking of, the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Jeopardy, whatever it is.
No, Regis Philbin.
No, I was not. I legit
Yeah, Regis
thought Jerry
died.
Springer was dead.
Fucking A, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, you know we forgot. You know what we forgot to talk about? The fucking new overtime rule that came out this week.
Oh yeah. It's pretty much
Yeah.
almost the same as what it was.
Yep. So now the new overtime rules, if anybody who hasn't noticed, in the playoffs, both teams will now have the opportunity to possess the ball in overtime in the postseason. And if the team is tied or if the score is tied after each team has possessed the ball, the next score wins, I think is fair. And if the
That's
team
the way
kick-
it should have been. That's bullshit. It should have
Yeah.
changed last year, and the Bills would be in the fuck have the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, and I think this year they have a higher chance of going in. And if the team kicking off to start the overtime period scores a safety on the receiving team's initial possession, the team that kicked off is the winner.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, I could see why that would be the case. But I mean, if the league is making a rule change because of how good your quarterback is, then you know you did something right.
Well, I think they're making the rule change because there's been so many fuck ups, and that most recent one was the biggest fuck up in a long time.
Yeah. That Bills Kansas City game was better than watching the damn Super Bowl.
It was the Super Bowl in my mind.
Yeah, I mean literally the Cincy game put me to sleep.
Yeah, it is what it is. But
Yeah,
we're
fuck
okay.
you, Joe Burrows, you piece of shit.
Well, that went from 0 to 100 real fast.
yeah.
I actually love the guy.
Yeah, a couple last things we'll touch on, some real-time scores. So Winnipeg and Buffalo tied at 2 with about 7 minutes left in the third. Detroit actually tied the Rangers. They're at 3-3 apiece at the end of 2. And then of course, game I'm gonna love watching today is Vegas versus Seattle on TNT.
Yeah, I'm probably
Okay,
gonna like
can I say this before we go?
Mhm.
I have to ask everyone here a question. I want everybody's opinion on it, okay? How is it that a few nights ago, Toronto goes into Montreal and puts 50 shots on a rookie goalie, and he stops basically everything, and they lose. But the next night, they're like, you know what? We're playing one of the best teams in the league. You know what? We're going to win tonight. So they beat the Panthers.
Mhm.
And then the next game, they're like, oh, we're playing Boston, another hard opponent. No, we'll beat them too, but we can't beat Buffalo or Montreal. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, and speaking of Boston, Taylor Hall got fined $5,000 for roughing.
Fuck that asshole.
So he got fined, and
Yeah, he's
oh,
a
we
real
all knew
piece of
this
shit.
would happen, but the Arizona Coyotes have officially been eliminated.
Yeah, I don't care.
Well, at least Montreal. Hey, you know what? At least Montreal was first. Fuck you, Habs.
Yeah.
Well, to answer Adam's question about the Toronto Maple Leafs, my answer is that who was playing goalie in those games? Was it Peter Mrazek?
It was on the Mrazek played in the last 2 wins.
Yeah, and he got hurt.
Okay, but here's another situation. Now we're fucked completely because now we have Mrazek pulled his vagina, and we have the young kid, whatever his name is. I fucking forget his name now. Kellgren or whatever the fuck his name is.
Colgren.
Yeah. It's pronounced differently. It's Swedish, but anyways, it's him. And now Campbell is expected to come back this week sometime, but Mrazek went out for with a groin injury. So they're like, you know what? All we got is to call up Michael Hutchinson. Oh my god! Like we need that fucking retard in the net.
Well, you're screwed either way. And on top of all that, everyone's now asking in the media because the Leafs are either going to play the Panthers, the Maple Leafs, or the Lightning, or the Bruins in the playoffs. And the question is, who will they play in the playoffs? I guess it's almost a guarantee they're going to play one of those 3 teams.
So it's going to be Florida, Tampa, or Boston.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Florida.
Yeah, I'll take Florida any day over Boston.
I thought you said you were scared to play Florida.
No, I'm not. I'm scared of Boston.
Okay.
I ain't scared of Panthers. You see the way fucking Leafs steamrolled them the other night, like offensive time, all in Toronto's favor. I don't think you have a problem playing Florida at all.
Well, we'll find out towards the season's end. We have a complete month of hockey left until we figure out the determination of the playoffs. And I firmly think that it's going to be, Toronto versus Florida. But then again, the Panthers will have home ice advantage. So that's going to be a big help for them in the playoffs because the regular season and playoffs are 2 different
and
animals.
here's the other thing too. If you everyone look at the stats, ever since Giordano came to the Leafs, everything's up. He's been on the ice for 66% of the goals. He's been on the ice for 66%, like at a bigger percentage for hits. He's had the most hits in the last 4 games. Like he's making an impact, man. He's doing what he's brought here to do. So
Yeah, that's a fair statement, but we'll see how he does in the playoffs. But I mean, you traded for him after all, right?
well, I didn't expect you to have anything positive to say. So
Well, I don't want to just go in and say, oh, he's a perfect angel. I mean, nobody thinks the Sabres are a bunch of, good teams or good players away from being a playoff contender. I mean,
because they're
I mean,
not.
exactly. So it doesn't affect me that Buffalo is not going to make the playoffs this year, but they're heading in the right direction, though. I can certainly say this time.
Very true. Very
You
true.
got the right pieces in place.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of ridiculous trading bullshit, did anybody hear about the Jets desperately trying to trade for one of the 3 wide receivers at DK Metcalf, Debo Samuels, and AJ Brown? Did anybody hear
That won't happen.
Why does anybody agree to go to the Jets? Why? In my mind, why?
who the fuck knows? The Jets desperately need a wide receiver, and yeah, they missed out on like half of the fucking free agent market. And that's the thing about the Jets. They don't know how to draft wide receivers and they don't know how to scout one. So their only option, just like fucking Denver, is trading for one. I mean, Denver's how many quarterbacks have the Broncos have established through the draft before Peyton Manning? Like one that panned out, Jake Plummer.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, John Elway was probably the best QB they've had, but the point is Denver doesn't know how to draft and the Jets don't know how to draft wide receivers. So the Jets' best option is to trade. I mean, they better play devil's advocate because they got 2 picks in the top 10 this year. So whatever the Jets do, if they trade that pick to Seattle, they're basically giving back their pick from Jamal Adams, and they're going to probably do something crazy. I'd imagine what Seattle's going to do.
Yeah, watch them go after like a kicker or something stupid.
Oh, fuck me. I mean, could you imagine what the Jets do?
That'd
from
be
that?
the most Jetsy thing around.
Yep.
I don't know. You got to watch out for the Jets. I mean, because with these two picks coming up in the draft, they're going to get two pretty good players, but it all depends on where they go in the draft. If they get another good offensive lineman, like they're really stacking up a good line.
They're not going to go after a lineman. I think they're going to go after a cornerback, and I think they're going after a wide receiver. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to go after London Brown or whatever his name is, Drake London. I think they're going to go after him in the 10th overall pick because, again, they have Seattle's pick, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. But, again, I can also see them trading that pick to Kansas City for DK Metcalf. I mean, to Seattle for DK Metcalf or to Seattle for Tyler Lockett. But one way or the other, I feel like DK Metcalf is not going to get traded, but at the same time, I feel like that the media is just keep pushing this narrative that the Jets are going to get DK Metcalf. It's like, if they get DK, great, but he's not going to be a replacement because you guys there's such a bunch of fucking bums that they were being outplayed by Tyreek Hill of all people just to go to the fucking Dolphins. Imagine that.
Okay, so Zach Wilson's the quarterback, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you know what, dude? Like, I'm not gonna say he's the savior for the Jets, but if he can get some good fucking players around him, man, I think he could be dangerous for sure.
Maybe. I mean, I think if they were to get Tyreek, which they clearly didn't, I feel like that the narrative for the Jets would have changed drastically. I mean, look what's happening now with the Dolphins. You know, they went out and got Tyreek Hill, and they paid him a buttload of money, and now they're hoping to use him like Deebo Samuel because Mike McDaniel comes from San Francisco because Andy knows a thing or two about that. And coming in from San Francisco to Miami and then bringing Tyreek Hill, he wants to be their kick returner. He wants to be used the same exact way that San Francisco uses Deebo Samuel. It basically Mr. Everything. They use him as a running back. They use him as a quarterback. They use him as a tight end. They use him as a wide receiver. They use him as a blocker. I mean, they want to use him for everything because Tyreek is that confident in what the Dolphins can do right now. That's just
Tua can't throw the goddamn ball, so it makes no difference.
yeah, that's very much true.
He's got an arm. He's got an arm of a 5-year-old.
Basically. Same with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the same way. Mac Jones can't throw a football of his life dependent on it.
I mean, he's gonna have to he's gonna have to throw like 5-10 yard passes and let the fucking receivers do the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you guys think because the Giants have 2 picks in the top 10, do you think they used one of them in a trade for Kansas City to get James Bradbury?
Doubtful.
I don't see him.
I don't know. Taking the mind
I
of
don't
Joe
think so.
King and Dable, they're gonna want to build around Daniel Jones, so they're probably gonna get a lineman, an offensive lineman, and their second pick could be up in the air.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see here what happens from there because the whole conversation with Bradbury to the Chiefs is picking up, and I'm really not sure how it's going to play out, but we'll find out. And then I guess the last topic of the evening is Stephon Diggs' contract situation, because there's been a lot of talk. I mean, I'm sure some of you've heard, but apparently Cowboys fans are under the impression that they're going to trade for Stephon Diggs.
That's not happening.
No, definitely not. Because Trayvon Diggs said that my dream is to play with my brother in the NFL. Well, if that's the argument, then come get traded to the Bills,
Right.
and then you can play with Stephon right there. Don't make it harder for Stephon to leave the Bills to go play for the Cowboys. There's no
Exactly.
way. And
Plus-
Josh Allen,
Plus, Trayvon Diggs would have a better shot winning a title here than he would in Dallas right now. So,
yeah.
Well, okay. So what's the situation with the contract? Is it the contract that he's up or what?
Well, no, Stephon Diggs, because of the whole thing with Tyreek Hill last week, because the details were 4 years, 120 million, and he was guaranteed 72.2 million. And since he got traded, a lot of people felt that Stephon Diggs is going to demand more money than Tyreek Hill. And they feel that he's going to get traded because of the demanded amount of money that he might potentially want. And he's under contract for 2 more years. And Brandon Beane came out and straight up said, we're not going to trade Stephon. We're going to work on a deal with him and get something worked out. and get him an extension because people say, oh, he deserves to get paid. And they feel the longer that they wait on his contract negotiations, the more he's going to demand more money and leave for Buffalo and go somewhere else.
You know what? I hate to burst your bubble, but I don't think he is Tyreek Hill. He's not worth Tyreek Hill money.
No. I know that, but I'm saying like he wants to be paid similar to Tyreek Hill because that's the thought process going in. Because he sent out a tweet because he's been making a lot of cryptic comments on Twitter, and he's like, "It's not personal, it's business." And a lot of Bills fans thought like, "Oh my God, he's gonna demand a trade soon. He doesn't want to be here." And I'm like, relax. He's under contract for 2 more years, and I assure you, the Bills, because right now, as we speak, Stephon Diggs makes about $14 million for the next 2 seasons. And that was from the contract he got from the Vikings when he first got traded. So he's in like the 4th year of his 6-year extension with Minnesota.
Yeah, like pay the guy. The guy deserves to be paid for sure. He probably deserves a bit of an upgrade when it comes to his payment, but I wouldn't go out on a limb and say you're worth $200 million on a fucking contract.
Yeah. And Brandon Bean, he knows how to work contracts. I mean, look at how much money he's been able to free up by just making similar restructured contracts. I mean, compare that contract to Patrick Mahomes, who makes 12 years for $500 million. So that's $43 million a year. So if you compare that to Josh Allen, who's doing 6 years, $258 million, the Bills have a little more flexibility to play with long term than Kansas City does. And just seeing that Tyreek trade from last week, it completely shows that the Chiefs are desperate for a wide receiver to fill in for Tyreek. And plus, it won't matter because the Chiefs have like the 4th highest paid amount of salary available to play with. So they could go and get a corner like Stephon Gilmore. They could go out and make a trade for like DK Metcalf for all they know. But
Stephon Gilmore is a Panther, isn't he not?
Yes, but he's a free agent.
No, he won't. He won't be a free agent because he's going to stay a Panther. Go fuck yourself.
Actually, I think Miami actually overpaid for Tyreek Hill a little bit too, but they had to do what they had to do.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, Tyreek went to the Dolphins only for the money. I don't think he gives a shit about whether they win or lose.
No,
I think
he got paid. He's the highest paid wide receiver in the league now.
Plus, dude. If you look at it, like I said before, and I'll say it again, if somebody else, if Miami didn't pay for him, somebody else is going to pay some stupid amount for him. So,
yeah, and that team would have been the Jets.
Yeah, and he would have went nowhere for nothing. He had nothing around him, and so he's better off going to Miami in the long run. But
yeah, I mean, I just find it hilarious how Dolphins fans now think that because they got Tyreek Hill, they think they're the shit. It's just hysterical, to my opinion.
Well, I heard that Tom Brady's going to come there next year for a year.
Oh God, you know what?
That rumor.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor recently, and I'm just like, there is no way. Oh my fucking Lord! The Buccaneers just gave Todd Bowles a brand new 5-year extension as their head coach. Oh my God!
Wow.
Oh my Lord! You guys are suckers.
Fucking A, Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now
we were one of the first to break that news tonight, right when it came out.
Yep. That's like, holy fuck, man. I can't believe that's actually the case. But yeah, so to sum up the Diggs situation, Brandon Beane was actually asked about the contract situation, and he said, what are the odds of the contract extension for Diggs? He said, quote, we've had an open dialogue since the season ended. Steph and I have talked a couple of times, and he's got a really good agent that I've dealt with before, and contracts get done when they're supposed to get done.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere, dude.
Yeah, I expect Stephon to get that contract. I mean,
why else would contract? It'll be a good value.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely pay him what he's worth. It's just that if he gets greedy, then I think it's going to hurt the Bills long term. But I think Brandon Beane knows what he's doing, and a lot of people don't have that much faith in him because of what Stephon Diggs has been saying lately. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's going to stay. I mean, I would be surprised if they don't sign him. Then that means they would have to go soul charging again for another top-notch wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like I feel like Stephon Diggs is one of those players that like he's not. Obviously, he's there for a paycheck because that's what he does. but I feel like he's there to fucking win. Dude, he's there for the Bills to win. He's not there to be a pompous asshole for money.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like what the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. I mean, that whole situation was a fucking fiasco, but it's just hysterical to me that how everything has become 180 with Cowboys fans thinking they're going to trade for Stephon Diggs and that Stephon Diggs wanting a trade for money. And, it's not, if people really think that it's going to happen, which I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that it will be worked itself out. I mean, it's been worked out before. They've been able to get contracts down to a science, and they were able to get the language of the contract going, and they were able to get some certain things done. I mean, they were able to get Josh Allen to a friendly contract, and they might get it done with Stephon Diggs. So honestly, it wouldn't shock me one bit if that were the case.
Come on.
Yeah. So does anybody have any comments before we leave?
Well, I would just say, hey, Diggs will be here probably for the long term. So it's a contract I wouldn't honestly worry about too much. He'll get paid, he'll get a nice upgrade, and all is good. Other thing I will say, real-time scoring, Winnipeg and Buffalo are in overtime, tied at 2.
Yeah, I got the game on as we speak.
Come on, would you fucking win it already?
Yeah. So overall, I mean, I'm having a pretty decent weekend overall, and hopefully for the next one. And quick note, guys, I was talking to Tom about this, and we come to a formal agreement that we are going to do an NFL mock draft next Wednesday.
Oh yeah, when are you going to involve us in this decision?
Well, we talked about it within the last couple of days. We talked about it in the chat, and we talked about it tonight.
Oh yeah, I don't remember, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, Andy wanted to do it. I'm sure we all wanted to at some point.
How do you not fucking put a goal in on overtime on the power play? Come on.
Yeah, there you have it. So I think that's about it for this week. So we'll definitely see you guys next week for the NFL mock draft. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so of course, as always, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. In the meantime, of course, a salute to Jerry Springer. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Wait.
Buffalo After Dark is an H&H Studio production and is produced in partnership with Horns and Hooves Entertainment.